Whiskers of Fate. Chapter 1. Moonlit Revelation. The city never truly slept, not even in the depths of night. Luna padded silently along the concrete jungle, her whiskers twitching at the cacophony of scents and sounds that assaulted her senses. The world was different for a cat, richer, more vibrant, filled with layers of information that humans, in their clumsy, noisy existence, could never hope to perceive. As she slinked past a gaggle of late-night revelers, their laughter grating against her sensitive ears, Luna reflected on her day. It had been a good one, a plump pigeon for breakfast, a sun-soaked nap on a fire escape, and now the promise of adventure in the air. The East River Esplanade beckoned, a ribbon of relative calm amidst the urban chaos. Luna's paws carried her swiftly along the waterfront, her sleek dark fur blending with the shadows. The scent of the river, a mixture of brine, fuel, and the indefinable essence of New York, filled her nostrils. As she approached the water's edge, something changed. The air seemed to thicken, charged with an energy that made her fur stand on end. Luna's yellow eyes darted upward, widening as they locked onto the full moon hanging low and heavy in the sky. Well, she murmured to herself, her tail twitching with curiosity. What secrets do you hold tonight, old friend? The moonlight danced on the river's surface, creating a dazzling display of shimmering reflections. Luna leaned forward, drawn by an irresistible urge to peer into the water. As her gaze met the rippling surface, the world around her fell away. Images flashed before her eyes, rapid and chaotic. Towering waves crashing against skyscrapers. Streets turned to raging rivers. Humans and animals alike swept away in the deluge. At the center of it all, a great metal beast torn free from its moorings, barreling towards the heart of the city. Luna reeled back, her heart pounding furiously against her ribs. The vision faded, leaving her gasping on the esplanade, the ordinary sounds of the city rushing back in a disorienting wave. By the Whisker Code, she hissed, struggling to make sense of what she'd seen. What in the name of the Midnight Council was that? A nearby pigeon cooed questioningly, eyeing the disoriented cat with a mixture of concern and wariness. "You all right there, miss?" the bird asked, his Brooklyn accent thick even to animal ears. "Looked like you saw a ghost or something." Luna shook her head, trying to clear the last vestiges of the vision from her mind. "I'm fine," she lied, her voice steadier than she felt. Just a trick of the light." The pigeon shrugged its wings. "If you say so, night's full of strange things, especially for us city critters." As the bird fluttered away, Luna turned her gaze back to the water, half expecting, half fearing to be pulled into another vision. But the river remained stubbornly ordinary, offering no answers to the questions swirling in her mind. One thing was clear: this was no ordinary night, and what she'd experienced was far beyond the usual feline intuition. Something momentous had just occurred, something that would change not only her life, but the fate of the entire city. Luna's claws kneaded the ground anxiously as she weighed her options. There was only one place to go, one being who might be able to shed light on this mystery. "Orion," she whispered, her decision made. "Time to pay an old owl a visit." With one last look at the deceptively calm waters of the East River, Luna turned and sprinted into the night. The streets of New York blurred around her as she raced towards Central Park, her mind alight with possibilities and dangers. Whatever this new power was, whatever destiny it heralded, Luna knew one thing for certain. The city she called home was in peril, and somehow and probably it fell to a street cat to save it. The hunt was on, and the clock was ticking. Chapter 2. The Midnight Council Convenes. The heart of Central Park throbbed with nocturnal life as Luna slipped through the shadows, her paws silent on the well-worn paths. Moonlight dappled the ground through the canopy of leaves, creating a chiaroscuro landscape that only sharpened her senses. As she approached Belvedere Castle, a soft hoot echoed through the night. Luna's ears swiveled, pinpointing the source with predatory precision. "I know you were there, Orion," she called out, her voice a low purr that carried just far enough. "We need to talk." A rustle of feathers preceded the appearance of a magnificent great horned owl. Orion's golden eyes gleamed with ancient wisdom as he regarded Luna from his perch. "Young guardian," he intoned, his voice as deep and rich as the night itself. "I sensed a disturbance in the city's rhythm. I see it etched in your whiskers. You've had your first vision." Luna's tail twitched in surprise. "How did you—" "The Midnight Council has awaited this moment for generations," Orion interrupted, spreading his impressive wings. "Come, the others must be informed." With a powerful downbeat, the owl took flight, leading Luna to a hidden grotto nestled behind the castle. As they entered, Luna's eyes widened. Animals of all kinds were gathered in a rough circle: a wizened raccoon, a sleek rat, a majestic hawk, and more. At the center stood a weathered stone pedestal, atop which sat a pool of water that seemed to glow with an inner light. "Friends," Orion announced, settling onto a branch overlooking the assembly, "the new guardian has awakened." A chorus of chitters, squeaks, and growls filled the air. Luna felt the weight of dozens of eyes upon her, judging, wondering, hoping. The raccoon rascal, Luna remembered from whispered tales, stepped forward, his mask-like face creased with a grin. Well, if it ain't the scrappy little stray from the east side. Gotta say, I had my doubts, but if the gift chose you, who am I to argue?" Luna bristled slightly at the scrappy comment, but held her tongue. There were more pressing matters at hand. "I saw something in the water," she began, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. "A disaster floods, destruction on a scale I can hardly comprehend." The assembled animals murmured amongst themselves, the sound like leaves rustling in a storm. Orion's voice cut through the chatter. "Tell us everything, Luna. Every detail matters." As Luna recounted her vision, she noticed the water in the central pool beginning to ripple, images forming and dissolving on its surface. It was as if the very essence of New York City was listening, responding to her words. When she finished, a heavy silence fell over the grotto. It was Whisper, the albino rat, who broke it. "The seventh life prophecy," he squeaked, his pink eyes wide. "It's coming to pass. When water turns foe and steel breaks free, the guardian must make the unseen see." Luna's head spun. Prophecies? Guardians? It was all too much, too fast. "I'm just a cat," she protested. "I can't possibly." "You are far more than just a cat, Luna," Orion interrupted gently. "You are the chosen guardian of New York. The gift has awakened in you, passed down through generations of feline protectors. It is your destiny to stand between our city and the chaos that threatens it." The hawk, whose name Luna didn't know, ruffled his feathers impatiently. "Destiny or not, we need a plan. If this vision comes to pass, both humans and animals will suffer." Rascal nodded, his eyes glinting with mischief. "Time to put together a team, I'd say. Can't save a city this big without a little help." As the animals debated strategies and allies, Luna found herself drawn to the glowing pool. In its depths, she saw flashes of the city bustling streets, soaring skyscrapers, and the millions of lives, human and animal alike, that called it home. A steely resolve settled in her chest. This was bigger than her fears, her doubts, her old life of scavenging and survival. New York needed her, whether she felt ready or not. Luna turned back to the council. her yellow eyes blazing with determination. "All right," she said, her voice ringing clear through the grotto. "Where do we start?" Orion hooted softly, a sound of approval. "We start, young guardian, by teaching you to harness your gift. Time is short, and the fate of the city rests in your paws." As the Midnight Council burst into action around her, Luna took a deep breath. The hunt of her life was just beginning, and the whole of New York hung in the balance. The concrete jungle had never felt so vast, nor the challenge ahead so daunting. But with the wisdom of the council behind her and the pulse of the city flowing through her veins, Luna was ready to face whatever came next. After all, she was a New York cat, and New York cats never backed down from a fight. Chapter 3: Gathering the Team. The pre-dawn air crackled with anticipation as Luna crouched at the edge of a rooftop, her tail twitching with nervous energy. 2 nights of intense training with Orion had left her exhausted but exhilarated. She could feel the Guardian's gift humming beneath her fur, a constant reminder of the weight on her shoulders. Right then, she murmured to herself, surveying the awakening city. Time to assemble a crack team of misfits. Her first stop was a dumpster-lined alley in the Lower East Side. As Luna approached, a chubby raccoon emerged from behind a garbage can, his paws suspiciously clean despite his surroundings. "Well, if it isn't our esteemed guardian," Rascal drawled, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "Come to see how the other half lives?" Luna rolled her eyes. "Save it, trash panda, we've got work to do." As she explained the situation, Rascal's expression grew serious, his usual bravado melting away. "Count me in," he said, holding up a paw. "These streets are my home too, after all." With Rascal in tow, Luna made her way to the subway, slipping through a hidden entrance known only to the city's animal inhabitants. The underground network hummed with activity, creatures of all kinds scurrying about their business. "Whisper," Luna called out, spotting a flash of white fur. The albino rat emerged from the shadows, his pink eyes wide with curiosity. "Luna, what brings the Guardian to our humble tunnels?" Whisper asked, his whiskers twitching nervously. As Luna recounted her vision and the Midnight Council's decision, Whisper's expression grew grave. "The Rat King's whispers have been uneasy lately," he admitted. "I'll help however I can." Their next stop was Central Park, where they found Zephyr preening his feathers atop a statue. The pigeon cocked his head as they approached. Well, if it ain't the cat that's got everyone's feathers ruffled," he cooed, his Brooklyn accent thick. "What's the score, Luna?" Luna quickly brought him up to speed. Zephyr fluttered down, landing on a nearby bench. "Aerial reconnaissance, eh? Sounds like a job for New York's finest feathered friend I'm in." The final member of their core team was found in Riverside Park. Spike, a scrappy mixed-breed dog, was chasing squirrels when Luna's group arrived. "Spike," Luna called out. The dog skidded to a halt, his one floppy ear perking up at the sight of them. "Luna, what's with the menagerie?" he barked, eyeing the unusual group warily. As Luna explained their mission, Spike's tail began to wag with increasing enthusiasm. "A chance to be a real hero to protect the whole city. You bet your whiskers I'm in." With her team assembled, Luna led them to a secluded corner of the park. The morning sun filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the gathered animals. "All right, listen up," Luna began, her voice carrying the authority of her newfound role. "What we're about to undertake is dangerous, possibly even impossible, but if we don't act, New York as we know it will be destroyed." She outlined what she knew of the impending disaster, her tail lashing as she spoke of crashing waves and broken steel. "Our job is to find out more, to pinpoint when and where this will happen, and then somehow warn the humans." Rascal raised a paw. A slight problem there, boss. Humans aren't exactly known for their ability to understand us. Luna nodded grimly. That's where it gets tricky. We'll need to find a way to breach the human-animal barrier. It's never been done before, at least not on the scale we need. Whiskers twitched nervously. The Rat King's whispers speak of a human, a scientist who studies animal behavior. Perhaps she could be our link. Good thinking, Whisper, Luna praised. Zephyr, I need you to start reconnaissance. Find this scientist and any unusual activity around the harbor. The pigeon saluted with a wing. You got it, boss? Rascal, you and Whisper start spreading the word through the Twilight Bazaar and the underground network. We need every set of eyes and ears in this city on alert. The raccoon and rat nodded in unison, determination etched on their faces. Spike, you'll come with me. We need to investigate the feral court. Their territory overlooks the harbor, and we'll need their cooperation. The dog's tail wagged furiously. A chance to face off with the big bad strays? Count me in. As the team dispersed to their tasks, Luna felt a mixture of pride and trepidation. They were an odd bunch, to be sure, but they were New York's best hope. She gazed out at the city skyline, the morning sun glinting off glass and steel. Somewhere out there, the clock was ticking on a disaster that could reshape the city forever. All right, New York, Luna whispered, her claws extending in determination. Let's do this. With a flick of her tail, she bounded off into the urban jungle, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The fate of the city rested on her paws, and Luna was determined not to let it down. The hunt was on, and New York's unlikeliest heroes were on the move. Chapter 4: Decoding the Vision. The Twilight Bazaar materialized like a mirage in the abandoned subway station, a riot of color and noise that assaulted Luna's senses. Animals of all species bartered, gossiped, and scurried about, their activities cloaked in secrecy from the oblivious human world above. Keep your wits about you, Luna murmured to her team as they descended the crumbling stairs. And your valuables close. Rascal snorted. Please, I invented half the cons running in this joint. They wove through the throng, past stalls selling everything from shiny trinkets to dubious magical artifacts. Luna's whiskers twitched, filtering through the cacophony of scents and sounds for anything useful. There, Whisper squeaked, pointing with his tail. The owl's roost. If anyone can help us decode your vision, it's them. The stall was tucked away in a shadowy corner, lined with ancient-looking tomes and glittering crystals. A spectacled screech owl peered down at them with unblinking eyes. Ah, the new guardian graces us with her presence, the owl hooted softly. What wisdom do you seek, young one? Luna steeled herself, then recounted her vision in vivid detail. As she spoke, the owl's eyes grew wider, and the very air seemed to thicken with tension. The harbinger of calamity, the owl whispered when she finished. Your vision speaks of the seventh life prophecy, a portent long feared by the Midnight Council. The owl rummaged through the stacks of books, eventually producing a weathered scroll. Here, it said, unrolling the parchment, the key to deciphering your vision lies within. Luna and her team huddled around the scroll, their eyes scanning the cryptic symbols and faded text. Whisper's nose twitched excitedly. Look here, he squeaked, pointing to a series of interconnected circles. These match the pattern of ripples you saw in the water, Luna. Spike tilted his head, his floppy ear flopping comically. And that squiggly thing there kinda looks like the East River, don't it? Luna's eyes narrowed as she studied the scroll. Slowly, like puzzle pieces clicking into place, the elements of her vision began to align with the ancient prophecy. The metal beast, she murmured, her tail swishing in agitation. It's not just any structure, it's a ship, a massive one, and these symbols here. She traced a paw over a series of jagged lines. They represent a storm, a hurricane maybe? Rascal whistled low. A perfect storm hitting the harbor, with a big old ship breaking loose. That's a recipe for disaster if I ever heard one. The owl nodded gravely. The prophecy speaks of a convergence, a moment when the forces of nature and human folly collide. Only by bridging the gap between our worlds can catastrophe be averted. Luna's mind raced, piecing together the fragments of information. We need to find out more about any major ships docking in the harbor and any upcoming weather patterns that could turn nasty. Zephyr puffed out his chest. Leave the weather to me, boss. Us pigeons have a sixth sense for that kind of thing. And I'll put out feelers through the underground network, Whisper added. If there's any chatter about big ships or port activities, we'll hear about it. Luna nodded, a plan forming in her mind. Good, Rasco. I need you to use your, unique skill set to get us access to any human documents or plans you can find, anything related to the harbor or major nautical events. The raccoon grinned mischievously. Aye, Captain, breaking and entering is my middle name. What about me? Spike asked eagerly, his tail wagging. Luna smiled at the enthusiastic dog. You and I have a date with the feral court. We need their eyes on the harbor, and their cooperation if things go south. As the team dispersed to their tasks, Luna turned back to the owl. Thank you for your help. Is there anything else we should know about this prophecy? The owl's gaze seemed to pierce right through her. Remember, young guardian, that prophecies are not set in stone. They are possibilities, warnings of what may come to pass. Your actions, your choices, will determine the outcome. Luna nodded solemnly, the weight of responsibility settling heavily on her shoulders. She turned to leave, but the owl's soft voice stopped her. And Luna, the key to breaching the human-animal barrier lies not in grand gestures, but in the small moments of connection. Look for the humans who already have one paw in our world. With those cryptic words echoing in her mind, Luna padded out of the twilight bazaar and back into the pulsing heart of New York City. The sun was setting, painting the skyscrapers in hues of gold and pink. As she gazed up at the towering structures, Luna felt a fierce surge of protectiveness. This sprawling, chaotic, beautiful city was her home, and she would fight tooth and claw to save it. All right, New York, she whispered, her claws extending with determination. Let's solve this puzzle and keep you safe. With a flick of her tail, Luna melted into the shadows, ready to face whatever challenges the night might bring. The clock was ticking, but with her team by her side and the wisdom of the ages guiding her, she felt a glimmer of hope. The guardian of New York was on the prowl, and nothing, not storms, not ships, not the barrier between species, would stand in her way. Chapter 5. Crossing Boundaries. The elegant high-rise on the Upper East Side loomed before Luna, its gleaming windows reflecting the early morning light. She flicked her tail nervously, glancing at Spike, who sat obediently beside her. Remember, Luna whispered, we're here to meet Bella and the domestic alliance. No chasing, no barking. Spike nodded solemnly, though his tail betrayed his excitement with a slight wag. Got it, boss. Best behavior. They slipped through a service entrance, navigating the building's underbelly with practiced ease. As they emerged onto a plush carpeted hallway, a soft meow greeted them. Well, purred a voice dripping with aristocratic disdain. The street urchins have arrived. Bella, a fluffy Persian with a diamond-studded collar, sauntered towards them. Despite her haughty demeanor, there was a glimmer of curiosity in her blue eyes. Luna straightened, meeting Bella's gaze. "We need your help, Bella. The city is in danger, and the domestic alliance could be crucial to our efforts." Bella's whiskers twitched with interest. Danger, how thrillingly dreadful, do tell. As Luna recounted the vision and their discoveries at the Twilight Bazaar, Bella's expression grew serious. The Persian cat led them to a sun-drenched penthouse, where other pampered pets had gathered: a regal Siamese, a portly bulldog, even a chameleon lounging on a heated rock. "Friends," Bella announced, her voice carrying an unexpected authority, "it seems our comfortable lives may soon be disrupted if we don't act." Luna stepped forward, addressing the assembled pets. "We need your eyes and ears. You have access to human homes, to their conversations and devices. Any information about harbor activities, large ships, or unusual weather patterns could be vital." The Siamese cat, introducing herself as Ming, spoke up. "My human works at the mayor's office. I've heard whispers of a controversial development plan for the harbor." Luna's ears perked up. "That could be connected. Can you find out more?" Ming nodded, her tail swishing elegantly. "Consider it done." The bulldog Bernie chimed in with a gruff bark. "My human's a cop. Been lots of chatter about increased security at the docks. Something big's coming in soon." Piece by piece, the pets shared snippets of information gleaned from their human companions. Luna felt a surge of hope. They were onto something. "Bella," Luna said, turning to the Persian, "we need a way to monitor human news and communications. Any ideas?" Bella's eyes gleamed. "Darling, you're in luck. Follow me." She led them to a state-of-the-art home office, where multiple screens displayed news feeds, weather reports, and social media streams. "My human is what they call an influencer," Bella explained, with a mix of pride and disdain. "Always connected, always watching. We can use this to our advantage." Luna's eyes widened as she took in the wealth of information at their paws. "This is perfect, but how do we interpret all this human data?" Bella smirked. "Leave that to us, dear. The domestic alliance has picked up a thing or two living among the two-legged ones." As the pets organized themselves into shifts to monitor the screens, Luna felt a newfound respect for these creatures she once dismissed as pampered and useless. "Thank you," she said sincerely to Bella. "This could make all the difference." Bella's haughty facade softened slightly. "Well, I suppose even we luxurious loungers have a stake in saving the city. Just don't expect me to get my paws dirty." Luna chuckled. "Wouldn't dream of it." As they prepared to leave, a commotion from one of the screens caught their attention. A reporter was speaking urgently about an approaching storm system, unusually powerful for the season. Meteorologists are baffled by the rapid intensification of this low-pressure system. Residents are advised to stay tuned for updates. Luna and Spike exchanged worried glances. "We need to report back to the others," Luna said. "Things are moving faster than we thought." As they made their way back to the street, Luna's mind raced. They had new allies, new information, but the pieces of the puzzle were still frustratingly disconnected. "What now, boss?" Spike asked, sensing her unease. Luna's yellow eyes glinted with determination. "Now we find a way to warn the humans, and I think I know just where to start." She thought back to Whispers' mention of a scientist studying animal behavior. "We're going to the Bronx Zoo, Spike. It's time to test the limits of the human-animal barrier." As they set off through the bustling city streets, Luna felt the Guardian's gift humming beneath her fur. The storm was coming, both literally and figuratively, but they weren't without hope. New York's fate hung in the balance, but its unlikely heroes were rising to the challenge. Luna allowed herself a small, fierce smile. The concrete jungle had no idea what was coming, but neither did the forces threatening to destroy it. The game was afoot, and this crafty cat was playing for keeps. Chapter 6: The Human Element. The Bronx Zoo hummed with an undercurrent of tension as Luna and Spike slipped through a gap in the perimeter fence. The air was thick with the scent of animals and an impending storm, both literal and metaphorical. "Remember," Luna whispered to Spike, "we're looking for Dr. Amelia Chen. Whispers sources say she's the key to bridging the gap." Spike nodded, his nose twitching with excitement and nerves. "Got it, boss, but, how do we know which human is her?" Luna's whiskers twitched in amusement. "Look for the one paying attention to the animals, not just gawking at them." They padded silently through the zoo, dodging the occasional visitor and keeping to the shadows. As they approached the research buildings, a commotion caught their attention. A young woman with wild, curly hair was gesticulating excitedly to a group of skeptical-looking colleagues. Her lab coat flapped in the breeze as she pointed to a series of charts and graphs. "I'm telling you," they heard her insist, her voice carrying on the wind. "There's a pattern to their behavior. It's like they're trying to tell us something." Luna's ears perked up. "That's her," she murmured to Spike. "Dr. Chen." It crept closer, hiding behind a row of bushes as Dr. Chen continued her impassioned speech. "The vocalizations, the unusual grouping patterns, it's unprecedented. And it's not just here. I've been in touch with colleagues around the city. The pigeons, the rats, even the stray cats and dogs, they're all exhibiting strange behaviors." One of her colleagues, a portly man with a condescending smirk, cut her off. "Come on, Amelia, you're talking about coordinated animal behavior across species. That's ridiculous. You'll be claiming they can talk next." As the group dispersed, leaving Dr. Chen looking frustrated and deflated, Luna made a decision. "Spike," she said, her voice low and determined, "it's time to put the Whisker code to the test." They emerged from the bushes, approaching Dr. Chen with deliberate movements. Luna locked eyes with the scientist, willing her to see, to understand. Dr. Chen's eyes widened as she noticed them. "Well, hello there," she said softly, crouching down. "Where did you two come from?" Luna took a deep breath and began to move her whiskers in the intricate patterns of the Whisker code. Left twitch, right twitch, slight curl movements so subtle they were nearly imperceptible to the untrained eye. But Dr. Chen wasn't untrained. Her brow furrowed in concentration as she watched Luna's face. That's not random," she murmured, reaching for a notebook. "There's a pattern here." For nearly an hour, Luna repeated her message, varying the patterns, while Spike kept watch. Dr. Chen scribbled furiously, her excitement growing with each passing minute. Finally, as the sun began to set, Dr. Chen sat back on her heels, her eyes wide with wonder and disbelief. "This is impossible," she whispered. "But I swear you're trying to tell me something about a storm, the harbor." Luna meowed encouragingly, her heart racing. They were so close to breaching the barrier. Dr. Chen laughed, a sound of pure joy and amazement. "I knew it. I knew you were more than we realized. But how? Why?" Her voice trailed off as her gaze fell on Luna's eyes. There was a moment of connection, a spark of understanding that transcended species. "You're warning us, aren't you?" "Doctor," Chen said softly. "There's danger coming." Luna meowed again, placing a paw on Dr. Chen's knee. The scientist's breath caught in her throat. "Oh my God," she whispered. "This changes everything." As darkness fell, Luna and Spike slipped away, leaving Dr. Chen clutching her notebook and muttering excitedly to herself. "Did it work?" Spike asked as they made their way back to the city proper. "Did we break through?" Luna's tail swished thoughtfully. "We made a crack in the barrier," she said. "It's a start, but we need more. The storm is coming, and we're running out of time." As if on cue, a low rumble of thunder echoed in the distance. Luna's fur stood on end, the Guardian's gift thrumming with an urgent energy. "Come on," she said to Spike. "We need to gather the others. It's time to take this to the next level." As they raced through the darkening streets, Luna felt a mix of hope and fear. They had made contact, found a human who could potentially understand and help. But would it be enough? And more importantly, would it be in time? The concrete jungle loomed around them, oblivious to the danger lurking on the horizon. But its unlikely guardians were on the move, ready to fight tooth and claw for the city they called home. The storm was coming, but so were they. Chapter 7: Underground Resistance. The abandoned warehouse in Red Hook loomed before Luna and her team, its rusted metal walls a silent testament to Brooklyn's industrial past. The scent of salt water from the nearby harbor mingled with the musk of feral cats, setting Luna's whiskers on edge. "Remember," she whispered to her companions, "we're here to recruit, not fight Shadow, and the Feral Corps could be powerful allies." Rascal snorted softly. "Yeah, if they don't decide to use us as scratching posts first." As they approached the entrance, a growl rumbled from the shadows. A massive tomcat emerged, his battle-scarred face a map of past conflicts. Shadow's one good eye gleamed in the dim light, assessing the newcomers with barely concealed hostility. "Well, well," he drawled, his voice a gravelly purr. "If it isn't the Guardian and her menagerie, come to slum it with us street cats." Luna stepped forward, meeting Shadow's gaze steadily. "We need to talk, Shadow. The whole city is in danger, including your territory." Shadow's tail lashed, but curiosity flickered in his eye. He jerked his head, indicating for them to follow. This ought to be good. Inside the warehouse, dozens of feral cats lounged on rusted machinery and broken crates. All eyes turned to Luna and her team as they entered, a mix of suspicion and intrigue in their gazes. Luna wasted no time. She laid out the vision, the prophecy, and the mounting evidence of the impending disaster. As she spoke, she could see the skepticism in Shadow's face, slowly giving way to concern. "A pretty tale," Shadow said when she finished. "But why should we care? We've survived storms before." "Not like this," Luna insisted. "This isn't just about survival. It's about protecting our home. All of New York. Your territory will be one of the first hit when the harbor floods." A murmur ran through the assembled cats. Shadow's whiskers twitched as he considered her words. "Prove it," he challenged. "Show me this vision of yours." Luna hesitated. She had never tried to share her visions before, but desperate times called for desperate measures. She closed her eyes, concentrating on the Guardian's gift thrumming beneath her fur. To everyone's astonishment, including Luna's, the air around them seemed to shimmer. Ghostly images flickered into existence, towering waves, a massive ship breaking free, streets turned to raging rivers. When the vision faded, Shadow's expression had changed completely. Gone was the skepticism, replaced by grim determination. "By the Whisker Code," he breathed. "You're not messing around, are you?" Luna shook her head, still reeling from the unexpected manifestation of her powers. "We need your help, Shadow. Your court knows these docks better than anyone. We need eyes and ears on the ground, monitoring every movement." Shadow was silent for a long moment, his tail twitching thoughtfully, Finally, he turned to address his followers. "Listen up, you mangy lot," he yelled. "Looks like we've got ourselves a fight coming. Anyone not willing to defend our home can scram now." Not a single cat moved. Shadow nodded approvingly. "Right then, Luna, you've got the feral cord at your back. What's the plan?" Relief and excitement coursed through Luna. She quickly outlined their strategy, assigning tasks to Shadow's cats. Some would monitor the docks, others would spread the word through the broader animal community, and a select few would work on establishing communication lines with Dr. Chen. As the feral cats dispersed to their tasks, Shadow pulled Luna aside. "I've got to hand it to you, Guardian," he said gruffly. "You've got guts, but this isn't going to be easy. The human world isn't known for listening to animals." Luna nodded solemnly. "I know, but we have to try, for all our sakes." Shadow's scarred face softened slightly. "Well, you've got us ferals on your side now, and let me tell you, there's nothing tougher than a Brooklyn street cat with a cause." As Luna and her team left the warehouse, the first drops of rain began to fall. The storm was approaching, both literally and figuratively. But for the first time since her vision, Luna felt a surge of hope. They had breached the barrier with Dr. Chen. They had united the animal factions of New York. Now it was time to take the fight to the next level. "All right, team," Luna said, her voice filled with determination. "Let's head back to Central Park. It's time to convene the Midnight Council and prepare for the final push." As they raced through the rain-slicked streets, Luna's mind whirled with plans and possibilities. The city that never sleeps was about to face its greatest challenge. But its unlikeliest heroes were ready to stand guard from the highest penthouse to the deepest subway tunnel. The storm was coming, but so was a resistance like New York had never seen before. Chapter 8: Citywide Mobilization. The heart of Central Park thrummed with an electric energy as animals from every corner of New York gathered under the cover of darkness. Luna stood atop a moss-covered rock, her sleek form silhouetted against the storm-heavy sky. Below her, an unprecedented assembly awaited, the scrappy ferals of Shadow's court, the pampered pets of Bella's domestic alliance, Rascal's network of wily raccoons, Whiskers' vast army of rats, and Zephyr's fleet of pigeons. "Friends," Luna called out, her voice carrying on the wind, "the time has come. Our city faces a threat unlike any we've seen before. But together we stand a chance of saving it." A ripple of determination passed through the crowd. Luna outlined their plan, assigning tasks to each group with the precision of a seasoned general. "Shadow, your ferals will monitor the docks. Any unusual activity, especially regarding large ships, needs to be reported immediately." The battle-scarred tomcat nodded grimly, his one good eye gleaming with resolve. "Bella, your network is our link to the human world. Keep your eyes and ears open in every home, office, and public space." The Persian cat preened, her diamond collar glinting. "Darling, discretion is our middle name." "Rascal, I need your raccoons to liberate any documents or plans related to the harbor development. Anything that might give us more information." The chubby raccoon saluted with a mischievous grin. "Consider done, boss. We'll leave no trash can unturned." "Whisper, your rats are our underground network. Use the subway tunnels, the sewers, every nook and cranny of this city to spread the word and gather intel." The albino rat squeaked affirmatively, his pink eyes glinting with determination. "And Zephyr, your pigeons are our eyes in the sky. Monitor the weather patterns, keep watch over the harbor, and be ready to relay messages at a moment's notice." The pigeon puffed out his chest proudly. "We'll be your winged warriors, Luna, count on it." As the groups dispersed to their assigned tasks, Luna felt a surge of pride. This was New York at its finest, diverse, scrappy, and united in the face of adversity. But their greatest challenge still lay ahead. "Spike," Luna said, turning to her canine companion, "it's time to put Operation Human Whisper into action." They made their way to the Bronx Zoo, where Dr. Chen was working late into the night, poring over her notes on animal behavior. As they approached her office window, they could see her muttering to herself, scribbling furiously. Luna took a deep breath and began to move her whiskers in the intricate patterns of the whisker code. To her amazement, Dr. Chen's head snapped up almost immediately, her eyes widening as she spotted Luna. For hours, they engaged in a painstaking form of communication. Luna meowed and gestured, using every trick in her feline repertoire to convey the urgency of the situation. Dr. Chen, for her part, asked questions through a series of hand signals and written notes held up to the window. Slowly, painfully, understanding dawned in the scientist's eyes. "A storm, the harbor, a ship breaking loose," Dr. Chen murmured, her voice muffled through the glass. "My God, you're trying to warn us." Luna meowed emphatically, placing a paw on the window pane. Dr. Chen's breath caught in her throat. I believe you," she whispered. "But how do we make others listen?" As if in answer, a crack of thunder split the night sky. The storm was approaching faster than anyone had anticipated. Luna and Spike raced back to Central Park, where chaos had erupted. Animals poured in from all directions, bringing dire news. "The waves are already higher than normal," a seagull squawked. "There's a massive container ship that just docked. It's not properly secured," a dock rat squealed. "The mayor's calling an emergency meeting, but they're not taking the weather warnings seriously enough," Bella reported, her fur on end. Luna's mind raced. They had made progress, but it wasn't enough. The human world was still largely oblivious to the impending catastrophe. As rain began to pelt down in sheets, Luna made a decision that would change everything. "Everyone," she yelled above the rising wind, "it's time for drastic measures. We're taking this warning to the heart of the city, 2 Times Square." A collective gasp rose from the assembled animals. This was unprecedented, a mass gathering of animals in the most visible part of New York City. "But Luna," Whiskers squeaked nervously, "will be seen, the humans will panic." Luna's yellow eyes blazed with determination. "Exactly, sometimes to save a city, you have to disrupt it first." As the storm raged and the animals of New York prepared for their most daring move yet, Luna felt the full weight of her role as guardian. The city's fate hung in the balance, and the next few hours would determine everything. The concrete jungle was about to witness a revolution, one with paws, claws, and an unshakable determination to save the home they all shared. The final countdown had begun, and New York's animal guardians were ready to make history. Chapter 9. The Seventh Life Prophecy. Rain lashed against the neon-lit facades of Times Square as Luna and her unlikely army emerged from the shadows. The usually bustling intersection was eerily quiet, the few humans present huddled under awnings or rushing for shelter from the intensifying storm. Luna's fur stood on end, every sense heightened by the crackling energy in the air. The Guardian's gift hummed beneath her skin, more potent than ever before. "Remember," she called out to the assembled animals, her voice barely audible above the howling wind, "we're not here to frighten, we're here to warn, to protect." As if choreographed, the animals began to take their positions. Pigeons perched on traffic lights, rats lined up along storefronts, dogs and cats emerged from alleyways. Even the pampered pets of the domestic alliance had snuck out to join the cause. Humans began to notice, their expressions shifting from confusion to disbelief to fear as they registered the sheer number of animals gathering in the heart of New York City. "Now," Luna yowled. In that moment, something extraordinary happened. Every animal, from the tiniest mouse to the largest dog, began to vocalize in unison. The cacophony of barks, meows, squeaks, and caws rose above the storm, impossible to ignore. Pedestrians froze in their tracks. Car horns blared as drivers slammed on their brakes, gawking at the spectacle before them. Smartphones emerged from pockets, capturing the unbelievable scene. Luna leapt onto the hood of an abandoned taxi, her sleek form illuminated by the giant screens above. She locked eyes with the growing crowd of humans, willing them to understand. And then, to everyone's astonishment, the screens in Times Square flickered. The usual advertisements vanished, replaced by a flickering, dreamlike sequence of images: towering waves, a massive ship breaking free, streets turned to raging rivers. Luna's vision, broadcast for all to see. Gasps of shock rippled through the human crowd. Some screamed, others stood transfixed. But all eyes were now on the animals of New York, united in their desperate warning. In that moment of chaos and wonder, Luna felt a shift in the very fabric of reality. The human-animal barrier, that invisible wall that had separated their worlds for so long, began to crack. Dr. Amelia Chen burst onto the scene, her lab coat flapping wildly in the wind. "Listen to them," she shouted, her voice hoarse with urgency. "They're trying to warn us, the harbor. We need to evacuate the harbor." As if to punctuate her words, a deafening crack of thunder shook the ground. The storm was reaching its peak, and time was running out. Luna's mind raced. They had captured the city's attention, but would it be enough? As she surveyed the chaotic scene, a memory stirred the words of the owl from the Twilight Bazaar. "The seventh life prophecy," Luna murmured. "Of course." She turned to Whisper, who was clinging to a nearby lamppost. "The scroll," she meowed urgently. "We need the prophecy scroll." Understanding dawned in the rat's pink eyes. He disappeared into the crowd, his network of rodents already spreading the word. Minutes that felt like hours passed. The humans were in an uproar, police sirens wailing in the distance. And then, scampering through the chaos, came Whisper and his team, the ancient scroll clutched carefully in their paws. Luna unrolled the parchment with trembling paws, her eyes scanning the cryptic text. And there, hidden within the arcane symbols, she found the key. "When the seventh life is revealed," she read aloud, though only the animals could understand her, "the veil will lift, and two worlds will become one." Realization struck her like a bolt of lightning. The seventh life wasn't a cat's mythical 9 lives, it was the 7 animal factions of New York, united for the first time in history. Luna raised her voice in a yowl that somehow cut through the din. "Everyone, join paws, claws, wings, whatever you have, form a circle." To the astonishment of the watching humans, the animals began to move in perfect synchronization. Cats and dogs stood side by side, birds perched on the backs of raccoons, rats formed living chains between larger animals. As the last link in the circle connected, a pulse of energy rippled through Times Square. The screens flickered once more, but this time, they didn't show a vision of destruction. Instead, they displayed a real-time map of New York, with a massive storm system bearing down on the harbor. And there, breaking free from its moorings, was an enormous container ship poised to wreak havoc on the city. The evidence was undeniable, broadcast for all to see. In that moment, as the storm raged and the animals stood united, The human-animal barrier shattered completely. Understanding dawned in the eyes of the watching humans, replaced quickly by determination. Mayor Thornton, who had arrived on the scene, grabbed a megaphone. "Emergency services evacuate the harbor now. All citizens move to higher ground immediately." As the humans sprang into action, Luna felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had done it. They had bridged the gap between worlds and saved their city. But the night was far from over. The storm still raged, and the true test of this newfound alliance was yet to come. Luna raised her voice once more, addressing both animals and humans alike. "Together," she meowed, somehow knowing she would be understood, "we can save New York." And with that, the unlikeliest army in history, four-legged, two-legged, wing, and everything in between, set out to face the storm head-on. The concrete jungle had never seen anything like it. But then again, New York City had always been full of surprises. Chapter 10. When Animals Speak. The storm howled through the concrete canyons of New York, rain lashing against skyscrapers and flooding streets. But amidst the chaos, an unprecedented alliance moved with purpose and determination. Luna, her fur plastered to her sleek frame, led the charge. Beside her ran Spike, Shadow's feral cats, Rascal and his raccoon crew. Above, Zephyr and his pigeon squadron fought against the gale force winds, relaying vital information. Below, Whiskers' rat army navigated the rapidly flooding subway tunnels, guiding humans to safety. And alongside them all, to Luna's continued amazement, were the humans. Police officers, firefighters, and ordinary citizens worked in tandem with the animals, guided by the newfound ability to understand their furry, feathered, and scaled collaborators. Dr. Amelia Chen, her wild hair even more disheveled than usual, coordinated efforts from a makeshift command center in the back of a police van. "Luna," she called out, still marveling at her ability to communicate with a cat. "The harbor, we need to secure that shit." Luna nodded, her yellow eyes gleaming with determination. "On it," she meowed, the sound somehow perfectly clear to human ears. "Zephyr, take your fastest flyers and scout ahead." As they neared the harbor, the true scale of the disaster became apparent. Massive waves crashed against the shoreline, and in the distance, an enormous container ship strained against its moorings, threatening to break free at any moment. "We need to reinforce those moorings." Luna yowled above the storm. "Rascal, get your team on those ropes. Shadow, your cats are the most agile. Spread out and secure any weak points." Humans and animals worked side by side, battling against the elements. Firefighters and dock workers marveled as raccoons deftly manipulated equipment, guided by Rascal's surprising knowledge of nautical knots. Feral cats darted along precarious ledges, their keen eyes spotting structural weaknesses that even experienced engineers missed. But despite their efforts, the ship continued to pull against its restraints. Luna's heart raced as she realized they were running out of time. Suddenly, a memory flashed through her mind: the skyscraper spirits, those neutral entities the owl had mentioned. In that moment of desperation, Luna knew what she had to do. She raced to the nearest towering building, scaling its rain-slicked surface with feline grace. At the top, buffeted by winds that threatened to sweep her away, Luna raised her voice in a primal yowl. "Spirits of New York," she cried out, her voice carrying on the storm. "Your city needs you." For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, ever so slowly, the very fabric of the city seemed to shift. Ghostly forms emerged from steel and glass shapes that were neither human nor animal, but something in between. The skyscraper spirits had answered the call. With a sound like the groaning of metal and the whisper of wind through canyons, the spirits descended upon the harbor. their ethereal forms wrapped around the straining ship, lending their strength to the moorings. On the ground, humans and animals alike watched in awe as the impossible unfolded before their eyes. The ship, which had been on the verge of breaking free, slowly but surely settled back into place. As the storm began to abate, a cheer rose up from the assembled crowd, a cacophony of human voices, animal calls, and the deep, resonant hum of the spirits. Luna made her way back to the gathered group, exhaustion evident in every step. Dr. Chen rushed to her side, scooping the soaked cat into her arms. "You did it, Luna," she whispered, tears mingling with the rain on her cheeks. "You've saved us all." Mayor Thornton approached, his usual polished appearance in utter disarray. I don't know how to even begin to thank you," he said, addressing not just Luna, but all the assembled animals. "We owe you a debt we can never repay." Luna purred softly, her eyes heavy with fatigue but glowing with satisfaction. "We're all New Yorkers," she meowed. "This is our home, too." As the sun began to break through the dissipating storm clouds, casting a golden light over the battered but unbroken city, Luna realized that everything had changed. The barrier between humans and animals had been shattered, and a new era of understanding and cooperation was dawning. Spike bounded up, his tail wagging furiously despite his waterlogged appearance. "So, boss," he woofed, "what's next?" Luna gazed out over the city, her sidious smile playing at the corners of her feline mouth. "Next," she mused, "we rebuild, we grow, and we make sure New York remains the greatest city in the world for everyone who calls it home." As humans and animals began the process of cleanup and recovery, their voices and calls mingling in a symphony of shared purpose, Luna felt the Guardian's gift humming contentedly beneath her fur. The seventh life prophecy had been fulfilled, but she knew this was just the beginning. The concrete jungle had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger than ever. And at its heart, a small black cat with extraordinary abilities stood ready to face whatever adventures lay ahead. New York City, in all its chaotic, beautiful glory, had a new tale to tell. And Luna, the unlikeliest of guardians, would be there to help write every chapter. The end, or perhaps just a new beginning for the city that never sleeps.